Well, good evening, good evening, good evening, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sylbourne Sydial, and this is a Saturday night talking sip, and I hope everyone is okay. Hailing from the great UK, the land of, I'm not going to say milk and honey, the land of King Charles, the land of, I would say the land of opportunity. As a matter of fact, I would say that every land that anyone in, they shall say that is the land of opportunity. Yeah. Any land that you're in, let's deem that land as the land of opportunity. Why not? Let's call that land the land of opportunity. Any land that you're in, anywhere you're in the world, you can deem that place as a land of opportunity. What do you say? I think that is a fantastic thing. And anyway, tonight is Saturday night. Tonight, talking sip. It's a bit very hot today. Very hot today out there, but at the same time, in the evening, it got a bit very chilly. Did some gardening today. It's hot and it is sunny and it is great. I hope everyone did some gardening today. As a matter of fact, this is Saturday night, talking sim, and I always ask this question: what are you drinking? Yeah, what are you drinking? And when I say drinking, I always say TikTok is a bit very funny when you say these things, because when you say drinking to TikTok think that you're thinking something like some sort of crazy thing, and they put up this thing called restrictions. I'm trying to say, Mel, and and because of that, I've got to be so very cautious with the words that I use with TikTok. They say the words with TikTok, you say unalive and all those sort of things. I want to thank you so much for joining, and I'm going to ask you, for those on Facebook, those on TikTok, and those on YouTube, share, like, and tell everyone that we are here tonight. Yep. Share and tell everyone we're here tonight. Now, the big question is, what are you drinking? Now, for me, I've been liking this Merlot. This Merlot. I've been liking this particular Merlot, and I just a tip of it there. Not much. Yeah. Just turn water into wine. Yeah. And it's very nice. Very, very, very nice. And of course, we'll have some sparkling water. Choose Me to Change Lives. That is from Co-op. Yeah, some sparkling water. And there it is. Very nice taste. Now you tell me what you are drinking tonight. Yeah. When we started Talking Sip Saturday night started off during the COVID period. And during the COVID period there, that lockdown period, everyone, that is where social media, these different platforms tend to shoot off and got a bit very, crazy, because that is where people had to stay in, people had to go out, and people had to stay in and make friends as much as possible online. And as a result of that, you see online has taken off to a massive thing. Now, I used to do a lot of shows in the studio, but the world evolves. Things have evolved. I was watching Don Lemon the other day, and Don Lemon, when he got sacked from CNN, Don Lemon started to do different things, and he hired studio and different producers and everything like that. And he said it just wasn't working. So he just grabbed his phone or whatever like that and just go about the place. And the lady named Joy Reid, I believe that something is going to happen as well with her. And also I believe that Helen, apparently, not Ellen, Wendy. I think Wendy and Don maybe do some sort of combination of things like that, because there's so many contents this period of this world. There's so many contents which are out there, and the contents are going to be very awesome, and that is because of Donald Trump. There's going to be contents continuously for the next 4 years, continuously for the next 4 years, and one can create also contents in different ways as well that you see as is fit. Um, so I've been doing a lot of these discussions over the months, and before I go any further, before I start the show tonight, and it's not going to be Jamaica leaning, it's not going to be Jamaica leaning, it's going to be world leaning, and I'm hoping to have persons. If you want to come on it, as a matter of fact, if you want to call in to the discussion, if you want to call into the discussion, there's a WhatsApp number there, which is 447764978716. 447764978716. I repeat, 447764978716. That is a number that one can call in. There's so much things which are happening in the world that one, as one thing happens, another thing happens. As you believe that one is finishing off, then something else start to take sort of level of precedent. But I just want to just highlight that for the past 4 weeks, 6 weeks or so, I've been doing these programs called Civics, Masterclass Civics, Masterclass on Civics, and it is a way for me to give back to Jamaica. It is a way for me to use the platform and to empower others through civics. Yep. Civics, the word which came from the word civicus, dealing with how people relate with government and citizenship as well. The first discussion that I had on this show, it was few weeks ago, and that was with Miss Joanne Simpson. Yep, Miss Joanne Simpson was the first person discussing this bit, and she wrote this book called New Vision Civics. Yep, and why I'm emphasizing this because it is important that it happens. So the first guest was Miss Joanne Simpson, and she wrote the book New Vision Civics. The interesting thing is that the program is on the YouTube channel, and the program is also on the Spotify, Amazon, and RSS.com and different podcasts. And I was amazed because someone said to me the other day that they were driving and they were listening to it online and they weren't watching it, because sometimes people believe that I don't have the time to watch it, and especially something over an hour. But I've created it in a way whereby people can actually listen. So while you're driving, while you're doing different things, you can actually listen to the discussion. And that is very important. Very, very important. So the first show we had was with Miss Joanne Simpson, author of the book New Vision Civics, and that was on the 22nd of March. The next guest that we had was Mr. Matunda McCullough, the former acting public defender in Jamaica. And the discussion was on civics and citizenship. That is also on Spotify. That is also, therefore, one can actually tune into that, because I believe it is very important. And I say this again, it is very important that one is educated. It is very important that one is empowered. Yeah. Very important that one is empowered and one actually is tuned into the whole issue of civics and citizenship. Because as I say, civics was taken out of the classroom. That's what they say. Civics was taken out of the classroom. So if civics is taken out of the classroom, therefore you can bring it to the people who came into the classroom. Yes, bring it to the people. And therefore, it's a new day. It's a new operation. New way of things are happening out there now. One don't have to follow through the typical way. Yeah, we're changing up things. Pebbles Graham, how are you doing? Tulsa and TikTok, how are you doing? And and everyone there. Let me just I just want to I'm just sharing this at the same time so persons can actually tune in. And the next discussion that we had with the show was with Miss Professor Rosalie Hamilton, Professor Rosalie Hamilton, um, civics masterclass, which was civics and the Constitution. That was on the 19th of April. A very, very interesting show. Very, very. I'm not going to use the word show. I want to use the word show sometime. It comes across like it's a show. No, it's not a show. It is something which is empowering and something which is educational and something which is empowering. Yeah. When you say show, sometimes it's like some entertainment thing. It's not about entertainment. It's about something that can actually fill you. Yeah. And so that was with Miss uh, Professor Rosalie Hamilton. That was the discussion that we had on civics and the Constitution. That is also on Spotify. That's also on Amazon. That's also on RSS.com. One can actually listen to it, and it is very empowering, very inspirational, very educational. And the last one, which I had so far, which was last week on the 4th of May, 2025, that is with Miss Jean Calder. Sorry, Jeanette Calder. So let me say Jean Calder. That was with Miss Jeanette Calder. And Miss Jeanette Calder is the executive director for JAM, right? Jamaica Measuring Portal. Very interesting discussion. And it breaks down how Parliament operates, breaks down the different functions as well. And it is something that persons need to know. We all need to know these things as well. And it is something which resonates as well, especially in the UK. And for the UK side, one hope to get uh, uh, Lord Salmon Woolley, who is the who was the executive chair for Operation Black Vote, but he's now a Lord and he's now the principal of one of the college in I don't want to make a mistake, but I'm just going to say uh, Oxford or Cambridge. At Oxford or Cambridge. My apologies, Mr. Woody, but he's one of the principals there, and that's really awesome. So the the Operation Black Vote, which I was also a part of the Operation Black Vote, where I shadowed a couple MPs in the United Kingdom, shadowed the former Attorney General Dominic Grieve, Peter Bottomley, the former Father of the House, as well, and different persons shadowed different persons from different parties, and that was really good, and it shows that if one is interested in getting into politics, it shows you got different areas of politics that one can actually be a part of. So that is important. So please do check out these shows. Please do share these shows on Spotify, Instagram, and uh, Spotify, Spotify, Amazon, RSS.com, and different platforms. I'm going to see if where it is. Yeah, distribution. The distribution is gonna it will come from let me see, podcasts. Let me see, distribution, monetization, analytics. So it goes on to the public website, and one can listen on. Yeah, and I'm gonna share it with you so you can see. Of course, those who are on TikTok, you're not going to see this, but those one and those on TikTok, pop across to Sylbourne TV on YouTube. That would be great. Pop across to YouTube on Sylbourne TV. Now, so if I'm to share the where you can listen to the Spotify on, you can listen to it on Spotify, on Amazon Music, on Podcast Index, on Fountain, on Podverse, and also on True Fans. Yeah, you can listen to it on Spotify, on Amazon Music, on Podcast Index, listen on Fountain, listen on Podverse, and listen on True Fans. Yeah, so there are different ways you can actually listen. So one don't have to be, um, you know, you don't have to tie yourself down whereby you need to watch it. You got to zero in, and you got to watch it. You don't have to do that, because many people sometimes don't have the time and the space to zero in and just to watch things and listen to things while they're watching it. And they've got to, what you can do, you can listen to it, you know put it in your car while you're washing, while you're doing different things, and listen to all this information. And this is so crucial, especially for Jamaica at this time, which is a political season, which is an election year, and which is an election should be called shortly. I believe in Jamaica there should be an election called very soon. You got Germany just had one. You had Canada just had one. You had Trinidad just had one. And well, there are many different places are having different elections. So therefore, it is a high time now for Jamaica to have an election. And one of the things about election, because I we had an election in the UK of recent days. So I'm sidetracking, and they always have this saying that my vote will make a difference. My one vote will make a difference. But in the election in the UK last year, there was a constituency which was a Labour stronghold, which had 15,000, ladies and gentlemen, 15,000 majority in this Labour stronghold. Now, the MP was caught with his pants down, not literally, figuratively. The MP was found punching one of his constituents, and went to court, and he was found and held guilty as charged. And as a result of that, he had to step down. Now, even if he didn't step down, or there would have been a sort of recall process. That's something very important, a recall process. And he would have, get a percentage of the constituents. I think maybe 10% or so to recall, and to have another by-election. So in this recent elections in Jamaica, in the UK, the local government elections in the Midlands, this wasn't in London, the Labour Party lost to a new party which is on the wings called Reform by Nigel Farage. And guess how much they won by? Guess how much they won by, ladies and gentlemen. Guess. Anyone can guess how much they won by? Tell me. Tell me how much the Reform Party won the vote by. It's a nice one. They won by 6 votes. 6 votes they won by. 6, as I say in Jamaica, 6 dege votes. And what this is saying? This is saying simply, every vote make a difference. Yeah? Every vote make a difference. Reform won that election. Reform, the new party on the scene, won that election. Reform got over, there were 18 councils or so, which I believe was even the Conservative. Reform got 10 of them. Reform won that seat. Reform. So therefore, also, that means to say there is a possibility for independent parties to rise up. What do you say? Can independent parties rise up? I think independent parties can rise up. No, it wasn't 4 votes. It's 6. Sorry, yeah. Remember, yeah. No, it's 6 they votes they won by. 6. Yeah. But what is also very interesting about this election? What is also very interesting, and I juxtapose it with Jamaica. This man punch up his constituents. Now in Jamaica, I understand that there was an MP who punched up his wife and batter her or his girlfriend and beat her up with a stool. Yes. Didn't resign. Didn't step down. There's no recall process. He was whipped. The whip was removed from him for the Jamaica Labour Party. And he became an independent. And guess what? I think he got married to the lady. And also he's now readmitted back into the Labour Party. Now, if there's a recall process, and if there was an impeachment process and all those sort of things in the Constitution, he shouldn't. As a matter of fact, that gentleman shouldn't be back in the party. But anyway, That's Jamaica for you. So this is the whole thing. So what I'm trying to say is every vote counts. So no one should say my vote don't make a difference. So I'm sure that maybe there are 7 members of the public who are maybe didn't go out that day, and they could have won. The Labour Party could have won by one dege vote if there were 7 persons that came out. One. Some comments in this live were filtered to protect the community's experience. But yeah, okay, So anyway, this is a great day. This is a great day, and I want to just touch on a couple of things. In regards to the new wave, and new developments which are happening in the world. So stay with me, and I'll be right back in a jiffy. Of recent days, we have seen some developments, like there are some very dark spots which are happening in the world. And when I say dark spots, I'm talking about world affairs when it comes on to wars and rumors of wars. We have seen whereby they are trying to have peace in Kiev, in Ukraine. We are seeing whereby things are happening with Pakistan and India. A good friend of mine who used to speak a lot, and I messaged her today and I said, we need to speak about India. And she said, this whole thing has been carved out. We're all brothers and sisters. We're all together. And Britain split them across. World affairs in May 2025, one would say, is marked by a series of high-stakes diplomatic efforts and shifting alliances across regions. In South Asia, India and Pakistan have taken a significant step by agreeing to an immediate ceasefire, unexpectedly halting the worst fighting seen in decades between the nuclear-armed neighbors. Nuclear-armed neighbors. While the United States has claimed a pivotal role in brokering the truce, both India and Pakistan have issued conflicting statements about the extent of U.S. involvement, with India emphasizing that the agreement was reached directly between the two countries. Despite the ceasefire, reports of violations. Violations have already surfaced, and the prospect for sustained peace remain uncertain as both sides navigate the complexities of their long-standing rivalry. That's Pakistan and India, right? Meanwhile, in Europe, the ongoing conflict in Ukraine continues to command global attention. Leaders from France, Germany, UK, and Poland have made a landmark joint visit to Kiev, pressing to agree to a 30-day ceasefire as a preliminary measure towards ending the 3-year war. Can you imagine? This war, which should have ended in weeks or so, according to Russia, we're now 3 years. This war should have ended in a few days, according to Donald Trump. 100 days has gone. America seeking importance, Amala. That's what they say. The show of European unity comes amid renewed international efforts, including proposals from U.S. President Donald Trump and ongoing negotiations hosted by Saudi Arabia. While European leaders have voiced readiness to support peace, negotiations, and enhance security for Ukraine, Russia has thus far resisted calls for truce, demanding an end to arms shipments to Ukraine as a precondition for talks. We all agree that the situation remains fluid, with both symbolic gestures and practical discussions underway to lay the groundwork for a comprehensive peace agreement. Now, on the economic front, The UK has achieved questionable, notable success in securing major trade deals that promise to bolster its pro Brexit economy. In a landmark agreement with the United States, the UK has won significant tariff reductions on automobiles, steel, and aluminum, saving thousands of jobs in key industries and while maintaining food standards. This deal follows closely on the heels of a free trade agreement with India, marking a week of substantial progress in the UK trade diplomacy and offering much needed stability and opportunity for British exports. Now, let's just touching on some of the key things which are happening in the world today. Touching on a few things. Yeah. Any news, Eric Mackenzie? Very interesting. Any news on the war in Sudan, on the ceasefire in Congo? Is not getting much coverage, so I haven't seen much about this one. Now, that's a very interesting point there that you mentioned, Mr. Eric Mackenzie. Mr. Mackenzie said, any news on the war in South Sudan or the ceasefire in Congo? Not getting much coverage. I haven't seen much about these conflicts. And now that is the reason why last week I dealt with the issue on Abraham Char, Burkina Faso. Because if one is not careful, one can be moved with the narrative of the world and the mainstream medias, where they zero in on the Oval Office, zero in on Ukraine, zero in on Gaza, and therefore there are some key places in the world which are developing and on development or whatever, which is in Africa, the continent of Africa, which is so crucial and so important. And that's why I say I need to keep a spotlight on that area. You know, Omala on TikTok said the trade war in Ukraine is necessary for balancing world order. Someone just said that the trade war in Ukraine is necessary for balancing world order. Now, I would not want to agree to say dying, killing of persons is necessary for balancing world order. Is that what you say? Is that what you say, guys? That killing of persons, thousands of people, is necessary for balance in world order? I just want to throw that one out there. Omala say yes. What do you say otherwise, ladies and gentlemen? Someone just put a point out, say the debt and all those things need to balance in world order. So one go back to the whole aspect of looking at the this is when you say the real world, what do you say when you say the real world? I mean, the reality of life is that there's living and there's death. There's a man is one we're all born and we're all to die. And there's wars and there's going to be rumors of war. So are we saying that one should cast off all restraint and just go for it with killing of one another for the sake of some world order? I shudder to try to understand that, but at the same time, I'm apt to listen and I'm apt to learn as to the point that you're trying to put out there. So that's very. So the ceasefire, especially the talks, significant moments in Starmer. But one would say, is Starmer, that's like when you say America is trying to look significant. Is Starmer also seeking to be significant at this time? Starmer is going up and down the world now. But many people are saying, hang on a second, whoa, bro, back up. We got issues here in the UK that need to be sorted. You know? We had World War that brought order for decades. There's World War that brought order for decades, or you mean because they couldn't get rid of Hitler? That's another thing. I can't agree that we need wars to balance things. But because I believe the aspect of war and why you have war is where you have men cannot actually sit down and talk and reason. Because at the end of the day, when all these deaths and all these persons have passed away and all these lands, you're going to realize, what was this for? What was this for? Anyway, Keir Starmer said that the outcome of talks between Ukraine allies in Kyiv marks a significant moment in the push to secure a ceasefire in its conflict with Russia, but admitted it was not the end of the process. Yeah. So a lot of these leaders have apparently they traveled on the train. 30 global leaders reasserted they call for Russia to agree to a 30-day unconditional ceasefire for Monday, threatening massive sanctions if it doesn't comply. Is Russia what do you say about Russia? We can't think in a naive way. But what's a naive way? Yeah. So therefore, yeah, UK is a toothless tiger. I think in a way that Keir Starmer is making a lot of noise, and he's jumping up and down the place. Let me hear what Eric says. Ukraine is surely more about Western incursion into Russia's sphere of influence. Russia and the West had a gentleman's agreement to respect each other's space post the collapse of the Soviet Union. What do you say about that, Amala? Yeah? UK seeking relevance. I would want to agree with that. I don't want to agree that Starmer is all over the place trying to seek some relevance. Personally speaking, I think Starmer needs to stay in the UK and try to sort out some things. Try to lead with all those pensioners who they take away the winter allowances from. Need to sort that out. A lot of things. I think sometimes that rumors of wars, and leaders, they like when these wars happen. It takes away and move them away from the domestic issues. And then while it moves them away from the domestic issues, it propels them onto the international stage where they find some sort of relevance or seek some form of relevance. And you can see them together. What do you say about that? I agree. I think I agree that unfortunately one would say it's a UK when actually it is Starmer. Because I don't believe many people from the UK is behind Starmer with what he's doing. Yeah. With Ukraine coming more on the Western political influence with its prospect of joining NATO, Russia felt threatened and went into Crimea and then Ukraine. UK need to get back to state capitalism. UK government need to start investing in the UK. Yeah. Need to start to focus, innit? Need to start to focus. What do you say, Eric? Is that what the UK need to do? Start to focus back on the UK. I mean, what do you say about Trump? Trump is actually focusing and zeroing on America. And therefore, everything is, the question is, how does this affect America? And of course, any war in the world will have some sort of impact on the world economy, the world stage. So by Trump actually saying, I want this war to stop now, I want this killing to stop now, is that like a pipe dream by Trump? Yeah. Is it a pipe dream? Is that something going to happen or not? UK need to, I find that the present crop of leaders, I don't know who is this German guy yet. I don't know who this German guy yet. The new German is a conservative guy. I don't know who he is. If there's any stamina or any backbone in him. The lack of strong leaders. And of course, it is easy maybe for me to say this because I'm not the one who is getting getting that call in the night. I'm not the one that questions or thoughts about pressing a button or so. I'm not the one that has to deal with certain pressing international issues. So it's easy sometimes to say these world leaders today lack strategic influence. The Western world lost its democracy to oligarchs. Well, somebody from India said to me today, from India, they said, Trump saved the day. What did she say? This is somebody from India. Somebody from India said, they said, this is what's the word they said? Person said, Trump is saving the day. That's what they said. Trump is saving the day. Trump is a hero. What do you say about that? That's what somebody said. Somebody said from India, Trump has saved the day. Trump is actually was them all night trying to sort out. Trump has turned things upside down by seemingly siding with Russia and insisting that fellow NATO members up there spending and stop relying on America. Well, in fairness, Trump has always been saying that. Trump has always been saying that even before when he was in power the last time. Trump was saying that you guys need to step up, need to step up to the plate and pay. Elections often say Trump is saving America. Trump is saving Africa. Trump is saving Africa. Trump is saving Africa. Actually, I see this in another way. I see the advent of Trump is that African nations, if they're strategic, will try to work together. I think there was an executive order which was passed recently, and the executive order says you can turn up to the airport if you're illegal or whatever, and you can fly out of the United States. We will organize for you to go. Right? Trump isolation policies are indirectly saving Africa. Now, Amala, when you say is indirectly saving Africa, is it by default in the sense whereby Africa will recognize and realize that they are going to be on their own and they can't rely on this Dream America and Dream West. So therefore, they have to look inwardly and to their partners on each side in Africa. I believe that very much. That Africa, at this time, at this junction, need to somewhat rely on itself as much as possible. They're waking up to believing in themselves. Yes. I agree with that totally. Boom. Totally. Eric, the UK, like most of Europe, has a budget crisis and will struggle to significantly increase spending on arms without further raising taxes. Yeah. Please. The UK. What? There are two discussions going on here, and this is very interesting, and I like this. I at one point I was going to say what was the topic to talk about tonight, and I said I didn't want to zero in on Jamaica. I wanted to really have it open up into this world thing, and it's very interesting, Amala, what you're saying about waking up to believe in themselves, and it's interesting also what you're saying, Eric, here. UK, like most of Europe, has a budget crisis and will struggle to significantly increase spending on arms or public service without further raising taxes. Right? I was thinking that, before I go on to Amala there, I was thinking that when the Labour government came into power recently, and when the Labour government recently lost or did badly in this recent local government elections, and they asked Keir Starmer, have you learned anything by this? People are saying that you should change course or whatever. And this is what he said. We have listened, we have heard the people, and this is what we got to do. We got to go at it. We got to keep going and go quickly. Keep doing what you're doing and do it quickly. I couldn't work that one out. So what I guess what he's actually doing and what he's saying is that hit it hard now. Right in the early days, hit the people hard. Hit the people hard now. And then to the end, we sort of soft it now. I was thinking that maybe one of the best things to do is to take this honeymoon period of that the landslide government and try to appease people in a way. And then eventually you work into the key things or the ideological shift with what you're doing. That's what I was thinking. In the UK, the government can't buy economic philosophy stay the same. I want to go back to the bit about Africa because I'm wising up to Africa. You know, I asked this question today to someone. The question I asked to someone is this. When the transatlantic slavery movement was going on, during that period of time, and they came to the shores of Africa, and by coming to the shores of Africa, they were able to get a lot of Africans to go to the West. Now, okay, they may be successful with the first 2-3 years. I said to myself, why African nations did not pull together? Yeah. Why African nations did not pull together? Yeah. And why and pulling together in a way to say we are not going to allow this to happen anymore. You know, some are actually saying that hang on a second, you know, was Africa complicit? Was African nations complicit with the whole slavery bit? And likewise, and yeah, moving on from now, in today's world now, I believe there's such a strong need for a united force, a united factor. You got, I was looking at Burkina Faso the other day, and what Burkina Faso have, some of the what should I say, the minerals, and let me look for it here. What are some of the minerals of Burkina Faso? Burkina Faso wealth. Burkina Faso wealth. Let's look at Burkina Faso wealth. Burkina Faso is considered one of the poorest countries in the world with a GDP per capita of around 900 in 2023. Its economy is largely dependent on agriculture, and it faces significant challenges related to poverty, underdevelopment, and climate change. Okay. Burkina Faso minerals, mineral resources. Let's look at that one now. Burkina Faso is rich in mineral resources, with gold being its most significant export and key driver of the economy. Other notable resources include zinc, manganese, lead, silver, and phosphate. The country also has reserves of diamonds, bauxite, nickel, and vanadium. I was going to say in Wakanda, although these are largely unexploited. Mark you? What did I say earlier? It's what I said earlier. Burkina Faso is considered one of the poorest countries in the world, with a GDP per capita of around 900 in 2023. Its economy is largely dependent on agriculture, and it faces significant challenges related to poverty, underdevelopment, and climate change. And on the next thing as well, it says Burkina Faso is rich in mineral resources, with gold being its most significant export and key driver of the economy. Yeah. Other notable resources include zinc, manganese, lead, silver, and as someone said, rare elements as well. Gold mining often plays a significant role in Burkina Faso economy. So what this is actually saying is it a lack of strong and effective leadership that is actually holding back African countries? Yeah, because we can keep talking about the European bit and the European bit and what's going on with Europe and whatever like that. But the key thing also that I recognize and I touch base on is the fact that Africa has so much to offer to Africans and to the world. Someone just said, white man came to Africa with superior weapons, guns and cannons are superior to bow and arrows. I'm talking disjointed with all the different discussions here. The white man came to Africa with superior weapons, guns, and cannons are superior to bow and arrow. So therefore, what we're saying is that the white man came to Africa, on the shores of Africa, with all of these, and overwhelmed Africans. And yet at the same time, there's a movie which goes out called Zulu. And it's a true story. And they defeated the Brits. It's like when they say Tarzan, the king of the jungle. Tarzan is a white man running up and down through Africa. Yeah? What's going on there? The human capital is what's lagging behind. See, this is somewhat of what would say is a massive wake-up call at this time. And you're right. I believe that the advent of Trump at this time, creating a sort of upheaval in the world is good. Sometimes you need a upheaval. Sometimes you need some shaking. Sometimes when they shake some trees, in Jamaica, you shake some trees, the things drop off, the bad things drop off sometimes, or the good things drop off, but you shake it, and therefore it, as you rightly say, it balances it out. Balances it out, I would say, definitely. The other bit there, when we talk about like even the advent of Trump and the advent of India and Pakistan, as they accuse each other of violations of the ceasefire deal. It's like in Gaza as well, ceasefire deal. India and Pakistan have accused each other of violations. Hours after the two nations said they had agreed to a ceasefire following days of cross-border military strikes. Sounds of explosions were heard in India, administered Kashmir. Foreign Secretary said there had been repeated violation of understanding. Now, there was a thing whereby they were saying that in India or in Pakistan, they were getting aid from the UK. And they're getting aid. And they are superpower. They have nuclear weapons. Are we saying then, Amala, that the fighting in India and Pakistan is to balance things off? Right? And one of the concerns about this fighting in India and Pakistan, one of the serious concerns is that it may spill over on the streets in the UK. It may spill over on the streets in the UK. There's a strong possibility for that. Yeah. The world is going through upheaval at this time. Will it? Nope. It won't. It won't. Nope. Okay. Okay. It won't. Yeah. Definitely not. The Sadly, the Zulus won a battle against the British, but not the war. The British ultimately took parts of their land and established South Africa, India only threw off British colonial rule in 1940. Yeah. Oh wow, 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 wow. So therefore, that was they say one can win the battle, but who win the war? So in Leicester maybe, okay. So the tension between India and Pakistan arose out of the British partition of the India in 1948. So therefore, what we're talking about there are unresolved issues. Unresolved issues in India and Pakistan. But I'm gonna get persons from India. I'm gonna get persons from India and Pakistan to have a discussion. Because like in places where they are, that is very interesting. So the whole world. I mean, let's even fly over into Jamaica for argument's sake now. Flying over to Jamaica now. I think all Jamaica need now is really to have an election. Yeah, have an election. You have the German election, Mark Carney for Canada, Trinidad. I don't know which other one of election is Australia. Now it's time for Jamaica to have election. Yeah. Asia is the center of America geopolitics for world dominance. Is that why there's a massive deal? So therefore, that deal which the UK have with Asia with India, that is a powerful thing. The deal also with the UK and the USA is also a powerful thing. Some may say that it wasn't a real good deal. I think I heard a conservative is saying that it can't keep saying, come on, it can't keep saying the UK is meaningless. I'm in the UK, man. Eric, you're in the UK. You can't say the UK is meaningless. The UK is the sixth strongest economy, or sixth biggest economy. Can't say it's. You may have a wishy-washy leader, but that doesn't mean to say that the UK is meaningless. The UK have its strength um, at this time. But I believe that a lot of the emphasis is somewhat placed at different places. Yeah. This is a conversation that need to be had further, and this is me coming on tonight, just sort of setting the stage and just touching on these relevant topics in the world today. You know, Labour. You know, the UK unveil big plans. The UK Labour is going to even unveil big immigration plan next week. Yeah. Why Jamaica need an election? Oh, because it is now the 50th year. It is the anniversary. The election is due now. By September, the election is due. That is why Jamaica need an election. And normally, there are a lot of things happening in Jamaica there. That's why they need to have an election. You got a prime minister who hasn't have it. It is due now. Prime minister whose statutory declaration has not been certified. Allegations that the prime minister has 28 bank accounts. Allegations of corruptions all over left, right, and center. The constitution reform, which is supposed to take place, and this was something, or some key areas of reform was promised at the last inauguration of the prime minister. Recall, impeachment, fixed date for election, and that's not and that is something which I keep talking about a lot. Fixed date for election. Fixed date for election is so important. I always use the simple example. The simple example I use for fixed date election. Please, you have to talk. Please, you have to talk. Think with what is that? Please, you have to talk. Think with substance. I don't understand that. When is an offense to have more than one account? When is an offense to have more than one? Nobody said it was an offense. Not me. I didn't say it was an offense. I just say you have 28 bank account. Yeah. No one says it was an offense. Jamaica has an issue with it. On current projections, India will be the second largest economy within 50 years. The BRICS nations are collectively more economical, powerful than the G7. The world order is changing. The world order is changing. You know, there's an event which is Professor Rosalie Hamilton highlighted to me that there's an event which is going to be happening. A Constitution Amendment Republic Bill. Why don't the UK have fixed election? You mean a fixed election date? Well, we knew that the dates for the election. We know when the elections are going to be called, are going to be happening normally. So it's there's no question. We know that there is going to be a local government election May the 1st. We know that the next election is going to be in about 4 or 5 years in May for the UK, unless they decide to call it earlier. That is an understanding and it's an understatement. If you want to emphasize it, you want us to talk about that. What changed after the last year they certified this declaration? It's the certification has not happened for the past 3 years. You know, that's what it is. That it's not been certified for. You don't have 20. You don't have 20 bank account. You see, that's the thing, and this is the issue with Jamaica. As someone says here, he doesn't have 28 bank account, and some say he has 28 bank account. So therefore it's all over the place, all over the place. So therefore, like there need to be some sort of settling down. I mean to say there's not a strong voice sometimes that can say, "Hey, this is really the situation." So at present, people are up in the air. So like the government of the day in Jamaica have awarded themselves 200 to 300% increase. Can you believe that? And lots of people are there supporting it because it's their party and it's their color. So therefore, if people think along their green colors, they're not going to see anything wrong because maybe it's food time for them. We need constituency plan at the candidates level to MP candidates accounting for the promises they made during elections. The only person up in the air is your thoughts. Somebody named King said the only person up in the air is your thoughts. Should Mark Golding got wealthy because of his political connection? Should Mark Golding got wealthy? Well, I think Mark Golding got his wealth because of his education and because of his and being a lawyer. But I'm sure anyone with political connections somehow will get some sort of kickback effect, So on Wednesday, May the 14th, 2025, there's a Constitution Amendment Republic Bill discussion, democratizing the Senate and strengthening its role in governance and development. Yeah. Democratizing the Senate and strengthening the role in governments and development. And let me just make this bigger. That's going to be with Professor Rosalie Hamilton, Ms. Daniel Archer, Mr. Horace Levy, and Mr. Gordon Ramsay. So that's a discussion which is going to be taking place in Jamaica on the 14th of May. I tend to always like to encourage and to support these sort of discourse and these discussions, because I believe these discussions and these discourse are so very important. Salary increase was lobbied for by both PNP and JLP members and was well needed. There we are. So there you are. Somebody in Jamaica said it was well needed. But what can I say? Well, if you say it was well needed, it was well needed. I won't debate with that. Anyway, people out there were demonstrating about the fact that it was too much. And they said that now they've got the money to now they can get the right people in and now they can work. And they're going to have job descriptions. And now they have job descriptions, and no job descriptions are there for parliamentarians. And that is something which is concerning. Mark was admitted to the bar for 1990 and started a company in which he was politically connected. Well, there you are. Everything is politically connected. And this is why you got the Integrity Commission that digs into these things. But of course, persons are going to say the Integrity Commission is politically aligned or so like that. So that will not go anywhere. It's a very interesting time when it comes on to politics in Jamaica, because persons think according to their colors, according to the mask that they have, the colorful mask, whether it is green or it's orange. Mark got wealthy when the greatest transfer of wealth from poor to the elites. What is the job description for the UK Prime Minister and MP in the UK? What is the job description for the UK Prime Minister and MP in the UK? It's there. It's on the website. It's on the website, on the UK website. Very clear. You know, what is your color? I'm PIP, man. I'm PIP. You are a PIP. PIP is Party in Power. You see, when Andrew Holness came to the UK, I interviewed him on Ed Bartlett. People all said I was JLP. When I interviewed Mark Golden, people say I'm PNP. When I got Marlon Morgan on my show, they said I'm JLP. When I liaised with Delano Seabright, me a JLP. when I liaised with Fitzhenley, when Fitzhenley called me sometime, me a JLP. If I speak to what's his name? PNP guys, them. I was with what's his name? Damian Crawford in London at the Olympics thing, and they said a shell down. Yeah, PNP. Can't bother with no. I don't name the corruption Andrew is accused of. No, I don't have time for that. I don't deal with that. I don't deal with that. I'm not going to get into those sort of things. I don't get into those sort of tit for tat things in Jamaica, because TikTok and all those sort of things is a crazy thing out there, you know, in Jamaica. I don't deal with that. I don't get into those sort of things. I just casually talk about it. That's why tonight I'm focusing on the UK, you know. So when somebody asks me, name the corruption Andrew is accused of, I don't go there. That's petty things, you know, petty things. I call sometimes some of the discussions very immature and very childish. When people start to get into that sort of thing, immature and childish and petty. Anyway, the Constitution Amendment Republic Bill that is going to be on the May the 14th, 2025, and something else also, which I need to flag up as well. Discussion on the Constitution. Where is it? There's a website here. Yep. There's a website discussion on the Constitution bill. Where is it? I think Miss Constitution change support form. There's a Constitution change support form, which was, where is it? Constitution change support form. Where is it? Yeah. There's a Constitution change support form which
um, Professor Rosalie asked me to send around. Um, the Constitution Amendment Republic Bill 2024 was tabled in Parliament. We've commended the government of Jamaica in taking this step towards Jamaicanizing the Constitution, abolishing. Hey, Michelle, what on? Abolishing the British monarch as head of state and establishing the Republic of Jamaica. While there's agreement with some aspects of the bill aligned to these objectives, the Advocate Network, Jamaica Council of Churches, Institute of Law um, and Economic, Jamaica Beach Birthright Environment Movement, among civil society organizations and individuals, share concern about some troubling aspect. And what they say, the the major flaw in the bill is seen as a retention of the parliamentary cabinet system of government without significant changes to its original design in the 1962 Constitution. By retaining Jamaica expression of this system of government, the bill perpetuates one, the concentration of cabinet, prime ministerial power, authoritarian leadership, inadequate mechanism for public participation, and four, a colonial judicial system. We argue that these weaknesses contribute to poor governance and our inability to address economic, social, and environmental challenges that we face. We propose the following core changes: restructure Parliament, especially by specifying their rights in the Constitution, empower communities by specifying their rights in the Constitution, decolonize the judiciary and strengthen its independence, and so there's more. So if anyone wants that, just I'm gonna place it. I'm gonna place a link on my YouTube channel and Facebook as well, so people can actually get that link. And there's a sort of survey, which I agree with most of the proposal in the submission, yes or no. I want to engage in more discussions about the proposal, yes or no. I want my name or my organization name included in the submission to MPs, yes or no. And there's the name of your organization, title, blah, 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 blah. So these are some of the things that, as an advocates network, which is dealing with that. And I do support the advocates network and the work that they are doing as well. Um, yeah. So yes. I mean, so that's there. Move that. So yeah. So anyway, back to hey Michelle, peace and wellness, Sylbourne. No, you're not late. You're just on time. You're just on time. I just want to go back to the point where when people start to ask these questions about um, what are the corruptions? Can you specify it? What's wrong with 28 bank accounts with all these other things? It gets so petty. It gets so petty and it gets so silly and ridiculous that I'd never go into these sort of things, these sort of discussions when it comes on to Jamaican politics, when people get so caught up in their colors, you know. And all I believe as a Jamaican living outside of Jamaica, what I believe is really important is good governance. You can have 55,000 bank account, who cares? Or 1 million bank account. Good governance is so important. As long as those bank accounts are not something where there's conflict of interest, not the bank accounts whereby money is taken from government or whatever, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. 25 million bank account if you want. Thousands of bank account if anybody want. Yeah. It is petty. Why are you making an issue? No, because it's my show, King. It's my show. I can always talk anything I want to talk about. If you don't like it, you can fly a kite and fly away. You don't think it's petty when you're mentioning some? I don't. I think. You don't think it's petty when you're mentioning something loosely. I think it is. I think it is important for me to reflect and to bring up issues that the people of Jamaica are talking about. So if you're trying to put it onto me based on the fact that your colors are green, it doesn't matter to me. All I'm doing is just flagging up something where people are saying there's corruption. People are saying there's allegation of corruption. People are saying that things don't look nice. People are saying they want an election. Yeah, it You may not like it, but just because you don't like it, that doesn't change it. So I will always speak it. And if you don't like what I'm saying, you can come off of the platform. You know what I'm trying to say? I will always say it. Petty this or petty not. You know, as I'm saying. So as I'm saying, I think it is very petty, it is very immature, and it is very childish. Is the PNP all the people of Jamaica? That's a silly question. Totally silly question. That is why I can't answer those questions. For someone to come on and say, is the PNP all the people of Jamaica? I'm going to say that is stupid. That is irrelevant. That is so childish. How can you ask me that question? Amala, you seem like you're a very intelligent person. You don't ask those questions. Is the PNP all the people of Jamaica? That's so silly. Jamaica, the Constitution doesn't recognize political parties. It's my right to have an account on every. It's your right. You can have an account. You can have 20,000 account, Virgin. You can have 1 million account if you want. Yeah, you can have it. Yeah, keep talking. What's the next question? Might as well I just engage with TikTok here now, with some JLP people or something like that. What's the next question? Who are those people? Silly question again. Who are the people asking for election other than Mark? Who are the people asking for election other than Mark? Silly question again. So stupid. I'm just drinking my water, just enjoying this life. You know? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it is 23:30, and I do not get into silly discussions. What's the latest assessment of the Jamaican economy by the IMF? Well, if you know that, King, why don't you say it? It's like when they're trying to catch out what's her name? Diane Abbott. The person asking the question will say, Miss Diane Abbott, what is the figures? Blah 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 blah. And they have all the figures there before her. All they want to do is catch her out. You know, they want to catch her out. You know, it is not about asking for an election or not an election. An election is due constitutionally this year. Simple. On the PNP, you're asking. No, an election is due. That's what governance is. Governance is that every 5 year or 4 years, there's an election. That is what it is. That's governance. That's good governance for any country. That is why you had an election in Trinidad. That's why an election in Germany. That's why an election, Canada called election because they wanted, for that. So are you saying PNP is Jamaica? Such a stupid question. Such a silly question. I've never seen. Anyway, I'm going to my bed. Michelle, I'm lost, Michelle. I don't know. TikTok is really interesting. People are asking me if Jamaica is PNP people in Jamaica. And Omalo, this person sounds like a big, sensible person. They had some very interesting discussions earlier. But for somebody to ask me a question, why are you saying PNP is Jamaica, all the people in Jamaica? That is so silly. We are governed by our constitution, and that does not have fixed election date. Well, then why the Prime Minister said he's going to give a fixed election date? He's the one that said it. Nothing is wrong with giving a fixed election date. I tell you one of the good things about having a fixed election date. If, for argument's sake, King or Amalo or Michelle, for argument's sake, this is it. You want to do some business overseas for a period of time, and because they do not have overseas voting. And when I say overseas voting, I'm not talking about overseas voting for like me, who do not have any. I've got my dual citizenship, but I'm not paying taxes in Jamaica. I've got some investment in Jamaica, but I'm paying taxes or live in Jamaica in a way. So therefore, I don't believe that for me there should be overseas voting. But I'm talking about if someone who is living in Jamaica, for argument's sake, travel to Canada, UK, or USA on a big business, and they're going to be there for a couple of months or so. They really want to get involved in the election because they are PIP. They believe in party in power. They believe in policies. And what they want to do, they want to go to vote whenever it comes to an election because they believe that every vote matters. And just like I mentioned earlier, the Reform Party won a seat in the UK, a 15,000 majority seat by the Labour Party in the UK. They won by 6 votes, 6 votes. So therefore, every vote matters. So that person want to travel, want to go to the UK, USA, or whatever to do some business, but because the date for the election is not fixed, the date for election is not sure. It's at the mercy, at the whims and the fancy of the Prime Minister. Yeah, and then election is called and they have to come back. Now, if let's put it this way, if there was a way that they could go to the Jamaica High Commission in the UK, USA, Canada, whatever like that, and vote, then that would be very important. You know, that would be very important. You make voting too important. I'm not going to go into that debate with you because voting is very important. You see, I consider some of these discussions very petty and very insignificant. You don't have to explain it to me. You know my perspective. No, Michelle. No, Michelle. I was just explaining it. I'm just saying it. You know, serving the people is more important. So the whole thing, and this is why I always say all the while, and I always put a caveat. I always put a caveat that my show normally is really not for the persons who are die-hearted. It's not really for the persons who are green aligned or orange aligned and so die-hearted that they're not going to see through anything that they're party. They're not going to see it objectively. I always say this is for the people who are, not die-hearted. These are for the middle-class people who sometimes don't vote, who don't believe in everything like that. That's the people that I'm really reaching out for. Not really the die-hard persons. Yeah. So they are not serving the people, they are serving themselves. One with philosophical, don't judge others' thoughts. Well, let me finish. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna wrap up now and stay there, TikTok. I'm gonna wrap up now on YouTube and Facebook. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for having a good night and have a wine in the king's country, King Charles, the kingdom which needs to be removed from Jamaica as the head of state very soon. Not fixed day, but fixed terms. That is, an election must happen by a particular date, not fixed date, but fixed terms. Well, it is fixed term. It is fixed term because, according to Malahoo Ford, when she was in the UK recently, I had a chat with her just to verify this whole bit about the date for the election, and she said it is not the anniversary of the election; it is the anniversary of the first sitting of Parliament after that election. That is what it is. The first sitting of Parliament after election. So so that's it. So Eric, listen, Bridget, take care of yourself. And remember, I'll give you 10 days, so that's 9 days time, all right? And so ladies and gentlemen, on YouTube and Facebook and Milverton, respect and all the best. And remember to tune into this event here on the 14th of May, for those 14th of May 2025, 6:30 p.m. That's on Zoom. Constitution Amendment Republic Bill. All right. And that's with Professor Rosalie Edmonton and other friends. All right. So peace out and God bless you. Remember to like and subscribe. And enjoy the sunshine tomorrow. All right. See this?